look at William Friedkin's film Rampage from the 1980s now. It was re-released in the 1990s through Miramax with a different ending, and I've seen both versions. I've seen the early version years ago, and I've seen the Miramax version. So I'm going to cover the films generally. It's one of those Friedkin films that, because of its distribution problems, it wasn't seen really, because it was part of the batch of De Laurentiis films that, when his company collapsed, they were basically shut down, given basic releases, went to video, and that was it basically. Some of them, like this one, had an afterlife. Most of them didn't because they were trash, but this one has an afterlife because people like it, even though Friedkin has some problems with it, which I don't understand. He's made so much worse films than this. This is actually one of his strongest films. I don't get why he's some problems with it, because it is a genuinely strong film, and it does look at mental health and the law in an interesting way. It has issues with Friedkin, because Friedkin likes to cast non-actors, and he tends to cut his films pretty quick. So sometimes there's awkward performances, and sometimes there's it feels like the film's moving like a race, like it's a race basically. There are those kind of issues, so it's not always the most smooth film. But in this case, it kind of works because the film actually has this sense of violence throughout it. That's the thing I remembered when I first saw it. I noticed again when I was watching it recently, was there is a genuine sense of violence to this film that just comes through the screen. Really, it just gives a sense of there's a danger in this film. It's quite funny because De Laurentiis made this one just after he produced this one, and he had already produced Blue Velvet and Manhunter not long before. So he basically had three great films about the evil within mankind that were genuinely great films. So he was doing trash like $1 Million Hotel or something that bombed, and some of those Coen sequels in Red Sonja, but he was also doing some really good stuff, and it was like strange. So this film barely got a release. It stars Michael Biehn as the prosecutor attorney who has to deal with it. And Bihn's a good actor, and he's good in this film, especially later on as the film goes in. Early on, there's some elements like his daughter died about 6 months before, and it can be a bit soap opera in some ways, but it actually, Friedkin gets him to underplay it, so it never becomes something that it's something that could have gone that direction. Instead, it's much more affecting, because it's like they don't do the teary-eyed thing. They do a thing of people who are traumatized and aren't really quite sure how to, emote about it. And that kind of comes across as something moving rather than something that could be just tacky. So the idea is, this lawyer and his wife have already been affected by loss before they even go into this situation where he's trying to prosecute this serial killer. Now, the serial killer is played by Alex McArthur, and it's probably his best performance. He's really good in this. He's creepy as hell, and the big thing about it is it looks at the prosecution defense once a killer's caught. I mean, the killer gets caught really early in the film. Basically kills one family, then kills another family of neighbours who he can't stand, and he's caught. I mean, they catch him like instantly. There's a point later on he escapes very briefly. It shows you the sense of this guy can plan. This guy's got like an understanding of how to survive. But the idea is he insane, or is it all premeditated? And the problem for Biehn is his DA wants a death penalty for this guy, because obviously the vote, everyone wants it. It's a horrific crime. It will do his career good to get a death penalty thing, because he wants some death penalty, prosecutions, because he's more to the right, and Bean's more of a progressive. So he has to deal with that, and he has to say, look, you're probably going to get insanity here. It's like, no, we want to actually prove he was premeditated. And as Bean goes into it, he starts to realise that there is a lot of evidence to show his premeditation. That this was a sick act. But also the guy is drinking the blood, and he wants the blood because he thinks his blood's been sucked out for some reason, and he needs the blood to live. So there's some crazy there. But it's also, he also can plan the murders and can go and do things, and he's hidden bodies, no one can find the bodies, and so there's premeditation too. It's like it's really hard to place, is it premeditated or is it insanity with some premeditation there as well? And it's a dicey situation. They do tests on him, and nothing's proven to be wrong with his brain. And it's the actual difficulty of the prosecution of trying to get this guilty verdict. And you also see it from the defence point of view, and the defence is public defender, and he's not trying to prove the guy's innocent, he's just trying to keep him off death row and prove insanity. And you get to see both sides of points of view, because both these characters, the prosecutor and the defence, both work for the city, they both know each other, and it's like, it's not that they're taking each other's positions personally. It's like, you've got a job and I've got a job, let's do our jobs. It's not, there's no melodrama about, oh, how dare you. Now, the defence attorney's played by Nicholas Campbell, who's one of Cronenberg's actors they like to use, and he's good as well. So there's a sense of you're getting some underrated actors getting a chance to show what they can do with some dialogue and some interesting situations. And the film really delivers on the sense of both the actual fear that a serial killer can create in a community. Like, normally in movies, it's all so slick that you don't really get a sense of fear. It's also like, it's terrifying, you get bored. When this from Friedkin doesn't care, you get bored. He wants you to feel the fear of the rationality of the killer, the rationality of the people around him, the sense of how the community gets devastated by this. And that's what goes through. So Bean has these dreams of the killer approaching his dead daughter and things like that, and there's a sense of these thoughts at the edge of consciousness that's driving people forward, that they can't quite place, they can't quite get the head around. There's also the family of the second family gets killed. It's only the wife and one of the sons that gets killed. The other son and the father was off to the dentist. So when they come back, they find the body of the wife, and they can't find the other boy. And it's with them, and you see scenes with them, they're trying to move on and find a life beyond this. And it's like, they're trying to get him to testify in the prosecution, and he's like, I don't want to put myself, my son through this. I need to leave, because he's so devastated by what happened to his wife. Again, that's underplayed, so it's much more effective, the sense of, it's not someone crying, it's someone trying not to cry, and it becomes a much more devastating thing. And so all these scenes accumulate, and it's just a sense of MacArthur's this killer. He is creepy, because you do get a sense of there is premeditation there, but it's also a sense of there's things driving him that he might not be aware of. People are saying, like, early on, he was not like that. He was very nice, very kind, and then suddenly he went odd. And later on in the film, they find another test where it suggests that there is something off his brain. So it's like, it doesn't give you the get out of, oh, he's mad or he's not mad. It's like, you have to decide, what do you think about him? Is he mad or is he not? But it also looks at the justice system of how prosecutors choose their people to testify about the madness or not of someone, how the defence attorneys deal with that, and the politics of different psychiatrists trying not to get sued, because people go through the system all the time and they come into contact with people that turn out later on to be a problem, but they didn't know that at the time, and there's all these politics involved. No one wants lawsuits, and all that plays into it. The politics of should someone be put in jail, should someone be executed. The film doesn't let you off the hook by saying this is what I think. Is like, decide yourself. You haven't grown up, decide what you think is the proper option for this problem. And that's what's the best thing about the film, is it stays creepy because it doesn't tell you. It does have a sense of the tragedy of the victims in a way a lot of serial killer films don't have. You don't get a sense of the victims in a lot of serial killer films. It's just like the murders themselves are the joy of the film in a way. Even though they're doing this is horrible, the filmmakers are really into the killing scenes to make it as exciting as possible, and which takes away from the brutality of this film. Is the scenes are just brutal and horrible, you don't want to see them, and then you get a sense afterwards of the damage done by them. And that's the more morally approach to take. It's the same thing. Manhunter had that same feeling of, we're not getting excited by these murders at all. It's about the tragedy of the murders, not the excitement of anything. And the film just really delivers on that. So that's why I think this is one of Friedkin's best films, and I really wish they could get remastered and be further seen, with both cuts seen, and let people see it and let people see how good it is. Because I saw it, it's on Amazon, which is the Miramax cut, the second cut, and it's an SD. You can get it cheap, but it's not a great picture quality. But it's the best you can get at the moment. So, if you want to see it, you can see it. It is a really good film, but it's not the greatest quality. But it's worth seeing just for the quality of the film. Even though there's some rough spots, some of the rough spots and some of the kind of amateur acting of some of the people that brought in to be, because Friedkin does like bringing people in from real life, that kind of pulls it back a bit. But the strength of the arguments of the film, the strength of the creepiness of the film, really elevate it. And there's just something about this that feels much more raw and much more Friedkin at its peak than a lot of films in its genre. So I don't want to keep going on and on. It's a film you should really see, and it's a film to be experienced. So definitely go see this film if you can. If you have Amazon, it's easy to find. So hope you enjoyed this video. That's me for now.